This is a lesson on the root, its functions, parts, and the two main types of roots that exist. The root has many functions. It's a very important part of the plant. And one of those functions is that the root grows towards the water. You can see that in the chart here, how the roots are turning. They see the water over here on the other side. And so instead of growing all the way down this way, more roots are growing towards the water. Another main function that the root has is to grow around obstacles. Here we see in our chart a root growing around a rock in order to reach the water it's trying to get to. Another function that the root has is to hold the plants to the earth. Here we see the roots acting like workers, making sure the plant is anchored tall in the ground. Roots also help prevent erosion because the soil that clings to the roots cannot be washed away. It's really interesting because leaves and roots can work together. Plant leaves are built to direct water into the ground where the roots can absorb that water. So see, look at this plant here, how clever it is. The stem here reaches up and the leaves, they tip downward. So if rain were to fall, it would fall and then glide down the leaf and go straight toward the roots, where the roots can absorb the water to give to the rest of the plant. Now we know that not all plants work in the same way. So we see a few different examples of that right here. So look at this plant right here. We see this plant that the leaves turn outward. And so if it were to rain, or if you were watering this plant, the water would drip on the leaf and then drip down, creating a cascade, almost like a waterfall of the water down to here. So I can infer that the roots are down here. But then look at this plant. See how the leaves are angled up? It directs the water to fall directly down along the stem, leading us to think that the roots are mostly directly underneath the stem. Here we see another example of this. It's like the leaves on this plant here are telling the water exactly where to go. They're pointing an arrow. Water, go this way. That's the direction that our roots are so that we can get this water. And think about trees even, how the leaves of trees are oriented. Have you ever been out in a rainstorm? Obviously not a thunderstorm, hopefully, but maybe a day that it got a little rainy or misty outside, and you went to go you went to go find shelter under a tree. Well, that's where you'd go. You'd go as close to the trunk or the stem of the tree as possible because you know that the water would fall on the outside and guide down to the roots. But under here, directly underneath, would be a little haven away from the rain that you were having. Now, the root has a couple important parts. The root tip is the part of the root that finds the water, guiding the direction that roots grow. If the root encounters an obstacle too large to grow around, the root tip will secrete an acid to wear down that obstacle. And sometimes roots will even grow through things like pipes. Another interesting fact is that the root tip, if that gets cut off, the roots don't know which way to go. So it's really important that the root tip gets protected. So the root cap protects the root tip. Then, of course, there's the root hairs absorbing water, and they're located right above the root tip. There are two main types of roots, fasciculate roots and tap roots. Fasciculate create a bundle-like shape, and a taproot is one main root that goes all the way down to get its water. And that's a little